Good morning. I haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm in the glasshouse on the allotment, and it's quite busy in here now. I'll just pan around for you. So as you can see, things in the straw bales are doing quite well. Behind me here, the aubergines and tomatoes, and then in that one, obviously the strawberries are going over now, but I did get a good crop, and yeah, all going well. I've added these little plastic drain pipe sections that everybody on the allotments here uses to support their brassicas and stuff. But I've sort of plunged them into the tops of the straw bales, and that's how I water the bale. So I pretty much sort of fill them up, and then it slowly drains through the straw bale, rather than covering the whole surface and loads of it ending up on the floor. Little tip there. It seems to work pretty well. And also I remember hearing ages ago that you shouldn't water around the base, directly around the base of tomato plants, because they can get a bit foisty. But as you can see, the aubergines are flowering. There's a couple behind me here doing really well in pots, and a chilli in a pot, but generally all looking pretty good. So I'm quite chuffed with the straw bale business. There's one that I haven't really done anything with, but it has been used for standing stuff on to water. So it's kind of partly conditioned to plant in, and I do have 3 chilli and 3 pepper plants which are still in pots that I might actually put in there if I can be bothered. But yeah, so all is grand in the glasshouse. Out on the allotment, stuff has just gone berserk. I can't keep up with the amount of spinach and lettuce and kale. I had a reasonable pea harvest, loads of broad beans. I'm not sure if I've harvested them at the right time. And onions are doing well. What else? Courgettes coming out of my ears. Good raspberry harvest. None of the shrubs were mine. They've all grown in from neighbouring plots, but I made good use of those. And what else? Oh, carrot. The carrots have been weird. They're in a raised bed with sort of a load of homegrown compost, so it's nice and light and easy to get down into. But they come out all kinds of shapes and sizes. And so far the ones I've pulled not been particularly tasty. So I think maybe it's my own compost doesn't suit carrots. And the parsnips look like they're doing really well, but again, I won't know until I dig the first ones out. Potatoes took ages to get going. I had them just in a pile of compost laid out in a row on the ground, and they took a while to get going. Jackdaws kept pulling them out. Jackdaws. but eventually I earthed them up with more compost, and they've grown into huge plants full of flower. So I've dug the first few out. If you remember, I stored them in the loft wrapped in paper from one of last year's plants, or one or two of last year's plants. I think there were 16 potatoes. Put them all in. About half of that number have survived and grown, and I've only dug one plant out so far, and it's August. So there should be a good crop under there. Don't know when I'm going to get round to eating them. I don't eat a lot of potatoes. Not sure why I saved so many. Not sure why I've taken on such a large allotment, because I can't, if I fill it with stuff, I can't keep up with it. I should maybe donate some to the locals. But I'd probably have to pass some food hygiene standard certificate from DEFRA or something before I could do that. But anyway, so eBay went berserk during lockdown. Everybody wanted to be a gardener, so seed sales and pond plant sales went through the roof, like absolutely crazy. Couldn't believe it. And I thought this was going to become my full-time income, which it did through lockdown. But it's plateaued off again, down to sort of more usual levels, to sort of like 3 or 4 orders a day as opposed to 30 or 40. Yeah, like ridiculous. But these new ones here. I'm going to stand up and show you. They're cuttings I took from, it's Clematis, one of the Viticellas, the late group 3 species, and it's Polish Spirit. And I have one that grows up through a Philadelphus shrub. So I dug the Philadelphus out from the garden, and the Clematis comes with it. The roots are sort of in together. So I took some cuttings from the Clematis, thinking, well, if it doesn't survive, I don't want to lose it completely because it's quite an attractive thing. So some of these will go to gardens where I do regular work, and they're great for growing up through shrubs because they add a bit of extra interest and colour later in the year. But I listed these on eBay last Sunday, so that's a week ago, and literally the same day there was an order came in for one, and then a couple of days later another. So quite happy with that, doing well with those. These have been a success story. So I don't know if you remember me sowing packets of wildflower seeds, and some of them were very, very fine seeds. Some of which were these guys, which are purple loosestrife. And you can see there's several growing from each cell, and there's also an entire tray full there, which I'm hoping I'm going to sell. They've always sold really well when I just took them as cuttings from the plants in the garden. But so I've got them listed on eBay as well. So if you buy one plug, you're going to get about 10 to 15 plants in it. But yeah, they're growing like stupidly well, so I'm chuffed with them. The red clover I can't keep up with. It's selling well, but it just grows like unbelievably crazy. I'll show you those as well. Like, I keep taking the shears to these and cutting it down, and then within days it's bounced up again and stuff. But never mind, we're doing all right. And one that I'm really pleased with, they've grown into gorgeous little plants, is these meadow clary, one of the sage family, wild sage. So and they're quite a handsome plant when they grow up. So some of those are going to be going in my own garden because I don't have any meadow clary yet. But yeah, I've got those listed on eBay store as well. So check that out. Oh, and quite excitingly, if I just step over the rapidly spreading squash plants, there's a cucumber in here. See those, just 2 cucumber vines planted in to one of the straw bales, and they're doing rather well. So the squash plants are massive. A few signs of flower buds, but yeah, again, just planted in a straw bale. It was conditioned over several, well, a couple of weeks, like 16 days or something. You got to soak them and add in the fertilizer on the top, etc. And they've grown away a treat. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here, but yeah, all is going well. It's nice to get an update out. So I'll bid you farewell and happy gardening.